Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the cinnamon roll on one loom. I had figured it out the other night and I had made this one. Just kind of made it weird colors because I was showing myself the steps, and I had extra blue bands, I guess, so I used those for the bun on the bottom. And I want to thank everybody who kind of played along with my little game on Instagram, guessing why I posted it. I was pretty excited that I figured out how to do it on one loom, and I'd say that they look almost identical, so pretty excited about that as well. I will show you how to do the exact cinnamon roll with the coloring, so hopefully it's easy to follow. Using the different colors kind of helps make the steps a little easier, but I know this is what mainly people are wanting to make, so I'll show you how I did that. But I'll get started here. So, one loom. And what we're going to start with first, actually I'll leave that one here for reference. What we're going to start with first is doing kind of the little swirl in the center on this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make a weird shape on here, and this will be the cinnamon color. So the brown, or the darker brown color. And we're going to start up here. Anywhere, doesn't really matter, we just need this much room right here. So just start up somewhere, bring a band back towards the center, and to the outside, then come down. And we're just going to kind of come around and end here. Like that. So that's the shape you should have. So starting up here, come around and make a little kind of six or weird swirl thing. So once we get there, you're going to want to get the white bands for the frosting. And we're going to start up here and just put a band here to close our little spot. Then coming off that pin, come over to the left. And then the middle here, we're going to basically just fill up like a starburst. So let's go straight up and go around counterclockwise. Oops. Like that. So again, the swirl starting up here, coming around, stopping right here. Then we'll start with the frosting bands, and then all the way around. Then we're going to want an end cap in the center here. Want it pretty tight, so 4 times around. I should mention too, make sure you use good bands. If you have a band that you're kind of iffy about, but if it's got a little wear and tear on it, don't use it. Use something different, because when we make the bottom to the cinnamon bun, we do need to do some stretching, so you don't want any bands that are bad. Then we're going to put another end cap right here at the end of the swirl. 4 times around. Like so. So now we're going to loom up this little part right here. So you can turn your loom around. And first we're going to start with the center and the end cap right here. Go in through there and grab whatever band is on top. Take it back towards itself. And just keep doing that through the center pin. Grab the next band, pull it up, and all the way around that center. Oops. Like like that. Then we'll come over to this other end cap that we have. Go in through there, and you're going to want to go through these bands as well. So go through all those and the end cap, grab the top band, pull it back towards itself, and do the same thing with the next one. Like that. Now we will do the swirl. So go in through this end cap over here on the left. Grab your cinnamon swirl band, and we're just going to loom it all the way around. Like that. So now we have the center of our swirl, this kind of little part right here. So now what we need to do is actually take this off the loom. The only open point is right here. So you can go ahead and stick your hook through your open point and pull this off the loom. It's going to look messy, and you kind of think, do I know what I'm doing? But I do. We're good. So look just like this. We'll put this aside for right now. Turn your loom back around. And what we want to do now is going up the center of the loom, we want to go up 11 bands in your cinnamon color. So starting down here at the bottom, it's a regular loom setup, so go up 11 bands in your cinnamon color. Like that. So you have one little space left. So then come back to the beginning after you've got that. Push these down a little bit. And here's where the banding, it's kind of a little goofy, but you want to be particular because it's how we're going to kind of swirl this out. So these will all be white bands. Oops. Just white. Our first band is going to go from the bottommost pin right over to the left. Then we're going to take a band from the bottom pin up to the second pin on the left. Now the second pin to the second pin, kind of across. And now to this pin, or from this pin, however you want to look at it, we need a band coming from these 3 pins. So from here to this pin, from the second pin to this pin, and then this next one back to that one. This is why I did it different colors in this one, because I could see the different spots, but just from the bottom out, or if you look at it, I guess going the other way might be easier. So from this pin just to the bottom, from the second pin down to the bottom into the second one. From the third pin, we go kind of out in the little chicken foot thing to the second, third, and fourth pin. But now I'm going to mess you up and I'm going to say we're going to skip this pin. And from this pin, we want to come down to our 4th pin, 5th pin, and 6th pin. So we're just making a little bit wider 3 bands. When I'm all done with this, I will try to get all of it on the screen and then kind of leave it there for a minute so you can verify that you have this all correct when we're done. So then we're going to skip a pin, and from the next one we're going to go down in the 3 or go to the 3 pins again. And we'll skip a pin again and go to 3 pins again. And then for this last pin, we're going to go just to these 2 right here. So there's nothing on this last pin yet. So I'll probably have to turn this sideways so I can get it all into the frame here, but just want to make sure that we have all the bands correct. From the first pin right across. The second pin kind of goes in a little weird triangle. Third pin goes out in a little chicken foot thing. And we skipped a pin. And we went out again in the little chicken foot. Then we skipped a pin. Went out in the chicken foot again. Skipped a pin. Then the chicken foot again. And then the last one is just 2 bands, the little triangle at the last spot. So make sure that you have this configuration. I know it's a little confusing, but this is actually the exact banding of the normal one that I did, just laid out in the long way. So once you have this, then we'll continue on. We're actually going to do, so we can turn our loom now around. We are going to attach our open spot on our hook to this pin down here, this very last one where the band is. I'll come down a little more. So just make sure you just put it straight down there. Like that. Now this is probably going to be the only part that's like kind of a big stretch, but we actually need to get this end cap, which is that offset end cap in our design. We have the one in the center, and then there's the one that's offset. We need to get that onto this pin. So it's a little bit of a stretch. That's why I recommended good bands. But after that, the stretching isn't too bad. But you want to make sure that you get through all the bands, and what I mean by that is there's the end cap there, but there's also the starburst band that wrapped around that end cap when we did the looming. So make sure you get through all of that. There's no cinnamon color band to go through. So really just kind of make sure you get through all of that on both sides. Most of the time it was trapped, so it was easy to do, but I did have one where I missed the band on the bottom. But get that end cap over that pin. And it is tight because we want it to be tight. And this is the only one that I think is really hard because you want to make sure you get all those starburst bands and the end cap all the way around. So once you've got that, you're going to go in through the end cap that we just put on there, and there's the 2 bands right here that we're going to loom out to the back towards themselves. Just go in there, grab them, pull them back. Might have to kind of loosen it up if you need to. So now we have this open point. These bands are all through the end cap. So now what we'll do is we'll come back to this pin at the beginning, and we're going to loom over our cinnamon band. So just grab that and pull it up. Then once you've done that, be careful, put your thumb or something over this pin, but release this so it's not so tight. So now we're here. The next step, and pretty much the rest of the steps, what we want is in this next intersection. For this one we have these bands, the frosting bands that poke out through the middle. These bands you need to pull and place over the next pin that has the bands on it. So just make sure you get both of them that come through the next point and put it on that next pin. So now you can loom out through this, which is now our end cap, loom out the 3 bands back towards themselves. Like that. And once you have that done, we're going to come back here and loom up 2 of the cinnamon bands. So come back to the beginning, grab the next cinnamon band, loom 1, and loom 2. And now again, put your thumb or something over this pin that has the open one, and remove everything from the 3 pins. Or 4, I guess. So now we have the next bands right here to go through. So grab those and they go onto the next pin. Like that. Just kind of got to keep it out of the way. So we'll move this so you can see it better. So it looks like this for now. So again, loom out your 3 bands through this kind of end cap we have. Then come back to the beginning and loom up 2 of the cinnamon bands. Like that. Now put your thumb over here again and release the bands back here. So we have the next bands to go through. So grab them and they go around the next end cap. So like that. And once again, loom out 3 bands. Like so. And then the 2 cinnamon bands. And again, cover and remove. You can see it's starting to swirl around now. So now we want the next bands over. On the next pin. Like that. And again, loom out the 3 bands. Then the 2 cinnamon bands. Cover and remove. Then the next bands over. And there will actually be 4 this time because we're kind of coming around full circle now. We're kind of up in this area up here. So you want to grab all of them. Oops. That'd be bad. So all 4 bands go on the next pin. Then just loom out the 2. Just the 2. Like that. Then we can loom up 1 cinnamon band. And if you want to, if you can do the stretch, and you feel comfortable about it, there are only 2 more bands to grab right here. And they just need to go over the next pin and just loom that last band over. And then loom the last cinnamon band. So now you can take your hook, stick it in through this open spot right here. Take it off your loom. And you're going to have to kind of stretch and play with it because we've been stretching it out down the loom. It'll be, once we do the sides for the cinnamon roll, you can kind of push up through the bottom and it'll kind of go back to normal. So, I mean, this is the one that I did on the one loom, and this is the other one, so I don't really see any difference, and I did them the same way. So that's what we have now, and I'd actually would recommend just taking like a white band or whatever you want. You can do the cinnamon band and just pull it through everything on your hook and make a slip knot, because now we need to stretch this onto the loom correctly so that we can do the bun side. So if you just put that on there, it'll hold it, so you don't have to worry about that going away. And I think this is, if you pull it nice and tight, it's a little bit better than a C-clip to use for this purpose. So, but then we need to do on here so that we can make the bun part. And how we do that is we need to, there are 12 spots around the cinnamon roll. We need each of those on its own pin. But we're going to kind of do it in a, we need 2 pins here, and then 5 up. And then if you can stretch it, if it feels too tight, you can just pull it back to these 2, or you can go all the way up to those 2. So kind of this little section of our loom is where we're going to stretch this. So for starters, for make it a little bit easier, the center of our cinnamon roll top, if you put it on the 3rd pin up, it makes it a little easier. So I'll take my hook out of that spot for right now. So stretch the middle over that 3rd pin. I'll come down here a little bit. Alright, so like I said, I think that this little spot right here is kind of a difficult one, because you need to get through the cinnamon band and the frosting band. So once you get through that one, because it just gets lost for some reason when I'm trying to get it. So you get through those, and you're going to stretch it to this pin over here. Once I get more of this out, you'll see kind of where things are, so it'll be a little bit easier, but or once we get a few of these on. The next one, of course, where your slip knot band is, that one, bang a better angle here. Take your hook through where you have the slip knot, however you need to do that. and that comes down straight down to this pin. And of course you want to get through everything, not just some things. I missed the bottom cinnamon band. And just push them down there. So once you have these two bands on, it really does get a lot easier, I think. So just kind of turn the loom which way you're comfortable, and then your next spot will be right in here. And just go through your frosting bands, which for this one there are 2, or no, sorry, 3. And just find that center and stretch that to the next pin over. And really, if you go along and you're like, this is getting hard or confusing, just start stretching where you need to, or wherever you can, and then you can always go back and, you know, if you missed a bottom band on like the cinnamon, or you missed the frosting bands, you'll notice. So you could just fix that one. So just keep going through each section next, making sure that you're getting through everything, and just pull it up over a pin. Once you get this on, it's only on there for like a second, so once it's on, then it's a lot easier. So you go up 5 one side, and if you feel like you're it's stretching too much on one side, just come back and start pulling the other side up, and so it helps kind of bring it together. And some, of course, are easier than others, so just have to take your time. I guess it just kind of depends on how much you want to make one. This one I need to stretch out a little more so I can see in there. Or like, since this one I'm having a little trouble with because there's 3 bands there, I'm just going to pull over the bottom, start pulling over the frosting bands. Actually 4. Like that. I'm just going to pull this up to here and kind of stretch these last parts out. So it's not pretty, but everything's on there. I am going to go around and just kind of check to make sure that I have them all on. I'm going to stretch this one out so you can see better. You just want to check to make sure that they're all on. So, starting this pin, there's 2 bands that come and meet at this pin. So you should have 4 bands, 4 frosting bands, and 1 cinnamon band. They all should have 1 wrapped over cinnamon band. It's just the inside that you have to be sure of. This one's only got 1. This one has 3, or 2. Just kind of go around. So far I don't see any that are incorrect, so hopefully that's the way it goes. Or, oops, like here, see, it's already got to look. I have the cinnamon bands both on that side, so I actually need to move part of it over. That's why you always look to make sure. And I have another one. I'm just doing all kinds of wonderful right now. You see how much easier it is after a lot of it's stretched out, how you can check your bands and moving stuff. Alright, so I'm good. So once you have them all on the pins, yes, I know it's kind of hard, but this is normally a 2 loom or 5 pin bar thing, so this is really the best I can do to make it on 1 loom. Hopefully it works for a lot of you. Next, I guess I should say I use these bands, which are actually a Loom band brand. They're, I think, called Light Coffee. I was going to use the Rainbow Loom skin tone bands, but they just kind of, let me grab one here. I think they'd look good too, but they're a little bit pinker than the ones I had, and since I had them, I like them a little bit better, so they aren't quite as, or they aren't as good of a quality as the Rainbow Loom, of course, but I just like the colors, so that's why I did those ones over the other ones, and I can. You can also take off your slip knot that you have on here. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm sure you can tell me that in the comments. So, but once you get to here, the next part I think is much easier. All we're going to do is take a band and wrap it all the way, or bands, and go all the way around our 12 pins here. So just start at the bottom, lay a band, and then start going up and around. And just come around. Like that. So once you have that, we're going to remove all our hard work of getting these on the pins, getting the top on the pins, and you're going to take the entire section of what, starting anywhere, take the entire section of bands that we put on the pins for the top, and you're going to pull them up and over. And you go into the next section the same exact way. This will give you another look too, to see if you got anything where it shouldn't be. So turn this around a little bit too. If you have trouble getting all of them over the pin at once, just pull over what you can. And then just pull over the rest of it. So all that's left is 2 bands for the bun. And you want to do that all the way around. And doing that on our end secures the bun part, so don't worry about that anymore. Like that. So check to make sure that you just have the 2 bands left. And push them down. And we can lay another row. It doesn't matter that I've turned my loom around, so for this purpose of putting the bun on, lay another set of bands all the way around. Like so. And now this time you'll loop over the bottom 2 bands over the top. And do that all the way around. Oops. I'm not used to moving my loom around like this as much. Like so. Push your pins down. Push your bands down on your pin, rather. So we need to do that 3 more times. I will do it, but I will probably fast forward through it in editing. So once I'm done with that, I will show you how to cinch the bottom closed. So it has a nice squishy. I will say, I know some people suggested that I could have filled this so it was more squishier. I mean, it is squishy, but I think that, I guess if you put in something inside of it before we cinched it closed, that it would be squishy too, that way. Anyways, 3 more rows. Alright, so that was 3 more rows. So now what we're going to do is take whatever you use for the bun color, and we want to knot two bands together. You can do that by just putting a band over your hook and pulling another band through. Put both ends on your hook and pull them through each other. Like that. Pull it pretty tight. If you're worried about your bands not being secure enough, because we are going to kind of drag this through the pins, you can certainly use two bands, so it'd be 4 bands total, and put a knot in the middle of them. If you're worried about that, if you're worried about them breaking. So I'm just going to take one end of the band and wrap it around my finger and hold the other end. And I'm going to stick my hook down through the bands on one of the pins, hook my band, my 2 band here, or my string I'm going to call it, pull it through what's on your hook, like that. Grab your string again, go through the next pin over, put your string on your hook, pull it through, grab it again, next pin, pull it through, and we're just going to keep doing this all the way around. It's okay if they come off, it starts kind of coming off the loom, that's fine. Just be wary of your other ones that you haven't gotten to yet. And you can keep kind of pulling your band through if you need to. And the last one, pull that band through, or the string. So now we have this. We have everything cinched on to the bottom of the cinnamon roll. Now, this time, normally I just had to kind of pull this all off the loom and we'll cinch it closed right away. But because we've been doing so much stretching with this, we need to fix it. And get the bands, because you can see how it's kind of got some good holes in it. You're going to have to get in there, kind of stretch your frosting bands back towards the center, because they're pulled down towards the bottom. But just stretch that back into shape. I have this on my hook over here. But just kind of start, if you push up from the bottom and kind of pull down from the sides, that'll get those frosting bands back in shape where they belong, so you don't have the big holes anymore. And if there's a few bands that you just can't seem to get them to do what you want right now, after we get the bottom closed, you can stick your hook in there and kind of pull them up a little bit more too. That looks much better than when I first pulled it off and you're like, that's not what we just made, is it? Alright, so now we have this on our hook. You're just going, if you're going to fill this, you want to do that now. But obviously if you fill it too much, you won't be able to squish it to get the cinnamon roll kind of flatter shape. So be careful of that. Once you've done either filling or no filling, you're just going to cinch this. Just kind of keep pulling it tight until you're kind of afraid that you're going to break something. Take it off your hook, hold both sides, and you're just going to tie a knot. So there should be enough band space there. Just kind of pull it, tie a knot, pull it tight. Then of course double knot it, make another one. And squish it. And we have a cinnamon roll made on one loom. To get rid of these bands, going through the top somewhere. I'll try not to go into ones where I already have a hole. Poke it out through the bottom. I don't usually do it right through the hole in the bottom, but rather through like the side right next to where I've tied them. Grab your bands and pull them towards the top. You just want to keep pulling them until they disappeared from the bottom. And then stuff them back down inside. Use the side of your hook. Kind of works better. Of course, works better when I'm not showing you what to do. Get in there. Like so. Squish it together. Flatten it out. And you have your cinnamon roll. 2 loom, 1 loom. I'm pretty happy. I think it looks fabulous. It is actually the exact same banding, so I mean you can't beat that. But a cinnamon roll on 1 loom. I really wanted to make it for people. I always try to make my designs available on 1 loom if possible, because I know not everybody has the ability to get more than 1 loom. So I was really excited about this. Here's a weird pink and black one I made too, because it was pretty. So I hope that you were able to follow it. I know it was a little confusing at times. I apologize for that. But like I said, making something in a lot of my tutorials, I make things that are on more pin bars or looms, and making them into 1 loom versions can be rather difficult and sometimes pretty complicated. I do my best. If I figure out how to do it, I show you how. That way at least you can see it, you can reference it. If you give it a try a couple times, you'll get it. You know, you might not get it on the first try, but if you keep trying, I'm sure you will. If I'm doing it in front of you, then obviously it can be done. It just takes a little bit of work, and but like I said, I was really excited about making this and on 1 loom. And I'm working on making the cupcake on 1 loom as well. That one will be a little bit more challenging, but I'm going to do my best. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comments below. I usually answer everybody within a day or two. Summer's coming and all my kids are going to be home at the same time, so hopefully I won't be outnumbered too often, but we will get to things as fast as we can. Hopefully I will definitely have another tutorial out very shortly. And if you make these, of course, I would love to see them on my Instagram, which is @craftingfantastic, or on my Facebook page. Both of those the links are in the video. Although I do have a blog, I've been kind of bad about updating it sometimes because there's so much other things to do, but you can check out what I have on there as well. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will have more for you soon.